Hello and welcome to Nationwide on the network service of the NTA. We're glad to have you join us. I am Lydia Ochi. Thank you for joining us. Two media houses will broadcast exclusive interview with President Muhammadu Buhari. A statement by Special Advisor to the President on Media and Publicity, Femi Adesina, says Channels Television will today air its interview with President Muhammadu Buhari by 7 p.m. Another session of exclusive interview with the President is to be aired on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, tomorrow, Thursday, the 6th of January at 8 p.m. Accordingly, all NTA stations are expected to hook up to the network service of the NTA for the presidential interview. Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning says 2022 budget seeks to continue reflationary approach of 2020 in line with the National Development Plan. The minister, while presenting a breakdown of the 2022 budget, explained that projected aggregate revenue to fund the budget is now 9.01 trillion naira, with 65% of the fund to come from non-oil sector. She further stated that government targets to raise revenue to GDP ratio from current 8 to 9% to 15% by 2025.
So without the government-owned enterprises' retained revenue, the federal government return revenue will be 9.01 trillion. To promote fiscal transparency, accountability, comprehensiveness, and allocation, we have indicated for the first time in the 2022 budget the allocations to TETFund. In the past, it was not previously recorded as revenue. And the budgets of 63 government-owned enterprises are fully integrated in the 2022 budget. In aggregate, 35% of the projected revenues is to come from the oil-related sources, while 65% is to be earned from the non-oil sources. Again, this is underscoring the fact that government revenues now are largely from the non-oil sector of the Nigerian economy.
She said petroleum subsidy has been provided for in the first 6 months of the year, with a provision in the budget to meet an outstanding 24 months arrears to military pensioners. The game changer for politics in Nigeria for the year 2022 and beyond is positive attitudinal change among political parties, good governance, and proper election of worthy candidates as leaders. This was the view of guests on Good Morning Nigeria, describing them as essential for good governance. Butu Amila tells us more.
The year 2021 was filled with many political activities in Nigeria. Worthy of note are the attacks of electoral offices in some parts of the country and court cases that delayed smooth electoral processes. However, for the year 2022 to have a better political system, guests on Good Morning Nigeria have urged political leaders to desist from switching political parties when already in office to reduce political friction in the country.
You were a candidate of the political party. You did not contest that election. It was your party that contested that election. It was your party that won that election. It is your party that owns that seat. If you do not want to be in that party, you have to take a decision surrendering the seat of the party to that political party because you did not contest that election.
They had mixed reactions on zoning when shifting the mantle of leadership across the country.
We've had an 8-year continuous rule by a northerner. Perhaps there may be need to, in a gentlemanly way, not legally binding way, move the mantle of leadership to the southern part of the country.
So it's not even about north-south divide. From the local government, from the wards. If you go to the ward level now, the fight is which of the hamlets will produce the next councillor. Now you've not come to north-south, no.
They call for proper enlightenment on electoral processes and character evaluation of people vying for elective positions come 2023. In Abuja, Plateau Miller, NTA News.
2021 is a year to remember for many reasons. In Nigeria, there were gains and challenges, but the arrival of 2022 no doubt triggered a new hope for a lot more on the positive side in the future. Guests on NTA's Tuesday Live say the sojourn in 2021 may be mixed grilled, but the prospects for 2022 appear promising. Abubakar Akwanga reports.
We cannot take away from this government that no government in this country had ever invested in terms of hardware and recruitment into the armed forces and other security agencies.
People who make governance impossible will say in the military that once an enemy is known, he's defeated. You start from there.
The statistics shows that there is improvement, and that improvement in terms of coming out of recessions indices has shown that the revenue, the target are made, the large investment in terms of infrastructure.
These key players in the nation's economy and security front are impressed with the performance of the 2022 GDP growth rate, despite inherited challenges from the year 2020, which slowed the pace of development, aggressive investment drive, social intervention programs, and improved security are some of the measures expected to launch the nation into a new dawn in 2022.
Yes, capital market in Nigeria has taken up, and it has done relatively well in the last year. But there is a lot of work to be done, because once the security signal is there, nobody will come, no matter what you said, no matter what you talk, because they have their source of information.
We recorded a lot of sources in the sense that the judiciary came out fully to let them know that they still remain the resource of not only the common man and the big man. And we can see that through several pronouncements and decisions that came from the court. And again, judiciary reminds Nigeria that law is no respecter of anybody.
As the world bleeds of finances to manage emerging needs, Nigeria is growing fast in adjusting to current economic support system with emphasis on security for better and prosperous days ahead. In Abuja, Abubakar Akwanga, NTA News.
You're still watching Nationwide on the network service of the NTA. Let's join Michael Olaleye in Lagos for more reports on Nationwide. Hello, Michael.
Hello, Lydia. We're still staying with the sectoral review. Let's quickly join Abdulmalik Hassan for more on how the education sector fared in the year 2021.
The year 2021 was like a remedial year for the education sector, having experienced challenges in 2020 arising from COVID-19 pandemic, leading to closure of schools for months. New normal comes with new innovations. At the center of this was the introduction of e-learning platforms by the Federal Ministry of Education to provide access to high-quality and comprehensive education to students, teachers, and researchers. But the worrying number of out-of-school children became a priority. Radio and television became alternative classrooms in some states, and 24 teaching and learning materials produced in English and other major Nigerian languages for adult and non-formal education distributed to the 36 states of the Federation and the FCT to improve basic literacy skills.
The government has provided getting to about ₦500 billion to ensure that this money is based on the statutory transfers are passed to states. to support their basic education sectors.
In the period under review, the Tertiary Education Trust Fund disbursed the sum of 6,396,159,060 naira for 217 research proposals recommended by the National Research Fund under 2020 Grand Circle exercise. Approval for the establishment of African University of Aerospace was granted and licenses given to 20 new private universities approved by the Federal Executive Council to consolidate on the existing universities.
We at NUC, we talk about quality education. We're talking about education that is functional, that is fit for purpose, to ensure that the average student enters a campus and is able to imbibe the prescribed minimum levels of competencies and knowledge. So when we go for program accreditation, we want to see how many students are in this program, how many lecturers are there. We have already, as NUC, long ago prescribed what we call space standards. What is the space requirement in a lab? How many students should this lab optimally contain at each point in time?
On teachers' quality and motivation, the present administration has taken measures to encourage them, including allowances for teachers in hard-to-reach areas and timely promotion to eliminate stagnation.
When you look at the 65 years extended years of service of Nigerian teachers, which was approved by Mr. President, rural posting allowance, science teachers allowance, housing scheme for teachers in rural areas, reintroduction of bursary allowance to education students in universities and colleges of education. These are milestone achievements in terms of digital literacy training program. At the level of TRCN has been empowered to be able to provide the digital literacy training program for Nigerian teachers. Yes, you know, the funding that were provided, you may say that they have not been able to go around, but at least we have started from somewhere.
Players in the sector have commended government's various efforts in reducing the number of out-of-school children, but were quick to add that the momentous must be sustained to ensure that the nation does not slide back into a hub of vulnerable children with no access to quality education.
Problems are there. Challenges are there. And I think going forward and with the determination of the President, particularly after the GPE meeting in London, we are very certain that a brighter future awaits the basic education sector.
With a set budget of 1.29 trillion naira, amounting to 7.5% of the total budget of slightly above 17 trillion naira for the sector in the 2022 budget, it is hoped that the knowledge impacting sector will continue to soar towards meeting its mandate. Abdul Malik Hassan, NTA News.
To speak more on the prospect for growth in the education industry for 2022 is a lecturer at the University of Lagos. I have with me in the studio Dr. Dan Ekere, is also a public affairs analyst. Thank you, Doctor, for joining us.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Now, let's have your perspective on challenges the sector encountered in 2021.
Well, looking at the education sector, we must approach it comprehensively. We look at the primary level, the post-primary, and you have the tertiary levels. You know, issues of COVID, we take that for granted, that it paralyzed a lot of systems, it affected practically everybody because of the issue of new normal that eventually came in, and issues of facilities. You know, not so many schools have all it takes to actually do what is right. But then we equally had at the tertiary level the issue of strike. So, yeah, these are some of the challenges we have. And along the line, you equally have issues of out-of-school children. So many, you know, problems inundating the system, you know. But in all, life must go on. Life must go on. But essentially, we must equally have that in perspective in working towards the next year, which is 2022 that we have entered. Now, a budget has been passed. Programs have been earmarked. Now, we want to see a situation in which planning becomes practice, so that we don't keep on, you know, having these things in the pipeline. Let the pipeline get burst to a point that the things will begin to manifest physically. We have seen where government promised, you know, bursary kind of awards to education students. You know, I don't know how real that is going to be, how practical, that you are going to pay every student who is studying education any amount, whichever that has been mentioned, and looking at the budget that has, the budgetary allocation that has been made to education and all of that. So these are some of the issues we need to deal with. It goes beyond the emotion of, oh, we want to do this. You must look at it from a perspective of the reality of practice based on experience. So
now, let's talk about the positives from 2021.
Yeah.
COVID taught us a new way of learning. So how can Nigeria strengthen this initiative? How do we come to make e-learning now part of our everyday learning process?
Yeah, thank you. E-learning has actually come to stay. And I think it's a good development for the system. The challenge, however, is whether or not we have the resources to actually make it as functional as it should be. We saw a lot of, issues of, oh, we are online. Online looks like somebody just climbing a rope somewhere. I don't know if that's what they were terming online. We discovered at the end of the day, they were actually not online. They were simply sending messages. I expected an online, study system that will involve interaction. A few schools were able to do that. I know a few schools, essentially, the secondary, then some universities, not all of them. And, it has to do with facilities. It equally has to do with IT. Because a situation whereby to even make a normal call, you have all manner of, challenges with it, drop calls and all the rest, internet challenges, name them. How do you run a system like this, in such a seamless manner? So it's a huge challenge. We need to invest more in that area so that, the various, platforms that people are going to engage in order to actualize this e-learning will be, easy for people to access, and it will be a bit seamless such that the thing will move, effortlessly. But so far, much of what we call e-learning raises a lot of issues.
But we must also put into consideration that we are growing in that aspect.
Certainly, we are making moves. I'm not against it, and I'm saying that we should invest more. We should focus on it more, because you find people who study abroad without necessarily going there. So why would it be so difficult for us to do within, the state? So these are things that we should focus on and begin to put more resources and ensure that every child, because if you can reach out to children at home, if you can reach out to everybody anywhere, what will lead to the issue of out-of-school children? So from there, the government can begin to handle this.
I want us to talk more about the out-of-school children now.
Yes.
There are various initiatives by the government to ensure that we reduce out-of-school children. Talking about the BESDA, the Adolescent Girls Initiative for Learning. I want you to talk more about this initiative.
Yeah, it's a good development. That we, but emphasis have been made on how to ensure that we attract our children to school. I think the government should actually take a step further to ensure that we involve and engage practically in every community in this, because so far when you look at the experience in the north, where the girl child is suffering a lot of challenges, kidnapping and all of that, it will have a way of affecting the psyche of the people. It will equally discourage people from releasing their children to school, So we must address the issue of insecurity. Besides, we should equally encourage parents, to ensure that they place emphasis on, the education of their children. Yes, emphasis has been on the girl child because of his peculiarity or her peculiarity. But then I feel strongly that a society in which only women are educated, because along the line we now discover that a lot of ladies are embracing education, and so many guys are now looking for money. So we must encourage a situation in which our children, whether boy or girl, are given opportunities to study, to go to school. Because at the end of the day, it takes the two to make a community, to make a society. So we must balance this issue up. I think that is really coming from the background of the challenges that we've had in some cultural, environment over the years, where the girl child is actually prevented from accessing education, getting married so early in life and all of that. But I think times are changing. We are beginning to embrace what is positive. And I think this positive development should go around. Let everybody be part of it. Let all of us be on board, so that at the end of the day, we'll have a society that has robust development.
The budget analysis was done today, the 2022 budget analysis. Which area do you think government should place emphasis in the education sector?
Yeah, it has always been a challenge with facilities. It has always been a challenge with, training. It has always been a challenge with even the welfare of workers in that sector. So the question of which area, it needs a comprehensive approach. If you eventually fund education to the point that you have all the facilities, modern facilities, state-of-the-art facilities in the world, and the people who run the system are not well attended to, at the end of the day, they will simply be looking at those machines and nothing will happen. So we must have it in such a way that, yes, you provide the facilities, at the same time, you must carry along those who will run and manage these facilities, such that the impact of those facilities can be felt among our children. Because at the end of the day, what do you call a computer if it is not operated? At the time you just put a laptop here and all of that and nothing is happening to it, how does it work? So we must carry the system in such a manner that facilities are provided, those who are to train the children are cared for, then they are equally trained as well. There should always be room for training and retraining in the system, because that is what makes the education sector, to be robust. At the time you leave people at the level, at the entry level, no facility, no resources, nothing to encourage them, it means that you are going to stagnate the system. So we must ensure that these people are encouraged to remain. I think that's part of the reason why the government is even talking about, bursary for those in education sector and the rest. But at the end of the day, you will realize that it's not only those who study education that actually teach in schools. At the university level, must you study education to be a lecturer? Is it only in education? So we must approach this thing in such a manner that we carry everybody along. But the lower level, the primary and post-primary, is actually very, very fundamental. A number of times when ASU go on strike, yeah, the country somehow is stagnated, but we don't place emphasis on those coming from the lower level. Much of the time you say our graduates are half-baked. You have already given them this half-baked condition from the foundation. So we must give them a foundation that actually, is a requisite for the university education, the kind of university education we are expecting them to have. It's not meant for me at the university level to begin to teach them A, B, C, and, making a sentence and all the rest.
I want to appreciate your contribution.
Thank you so much.
If we continue to go with this discussion, then we might put the news on hold.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming, and we appreciate your contribution.
It's a pleasure to be here.
We'll be speaking with Dr. Dan Ekere. He's a lecturer at the University of Lagos. Still staying with the sectoral review, the bull was able to dominate more trading days in 2021 on the Nigeria equities market, as gains almost clinched the 1 trillion naira mark amid uncertainty that characterized trading of stocks. Abolade Salami in this report analyzes the gains, challenges, and prospects of the Nigerian Stock Exchange.
Just the way every other exchanges in the world felt the devastating effects of COVID-19 on equities and investments, the Nigerian Exchange Limited, despite uncertainty that enveloped smooth economic operations, recorded a substantial positive result. The NGX All-Share Index, which opened the year at 40,000 basis points, rose to 42,000 basis points in December, while equities market capitalization increased to 22.06 trillion naira in December, as against the 21.06 trillion naira it began with in January during the year under review.
You will be hearing a lot more about the various products that are coming into the market to help facilitate risk management, drive liquidity, and improve the financial system stability in Nigeria, and therefore help the Nigerian economy to grow and to continue to accelerate its growth.
While some market players are of the view that equity market uptick in 2021 was partly driven by appreciation of the oil and gas index, another area of concern others gave credence to was the listing of many large-cap companies. Some major stocks that facilitated market gains year-to-date with over 20% returns include Nigerian Breweries, Custodian, Hebian Holdings, Guinness, Flour Mills, Julius Berger, among many others.
A robust capital market correlates strongly with enhanced growth, economic stability, and more competitive economy.
There were some positive during the year. We had some listing. So in all, I would say the market has been able to weather the storm.
Although sufficient liquidity in the system and the decline in yields were also factors responsible for the gain equities market recorded in 2021, the consecutive economic growth rate in gross domestic product restored investors' confidence and threw open better opportunities for more domestic and foreign portfolio investments.
Whilst regulators support innovation that addresses the needs of the market, they must be vigilant for the risks to preserve financial stability, protect and promote market integrity, and boost investor confidence.
The regulatory body and stockbrokers are, however, optimistic that there will be further liquidity boost in first quarter of 2022 due to more maturities expected to come from segments of the fixed income market, which in turn is expected to keep the market on a positive trajectory. In Lagos, Abolade Salami, NTA News.
The thick cloud that overshadowed Magodo Phase 2 estate is gradually being eclipsed as the state government weighs in to resolve the lingering crisis among the concerned bodies. Abolade Salami, who visited the estate to monitor happenings, again reports that the atmosphere is calm.
The gates leading to Magodo Phase 2 estates are thrown open for vehicles and people to have access without any form of molestation or harassment from any quarter. Prior to this development, gaining access to the estate in recent times was more difficult than entering the state seat of power. In a move to quell the crisis, the state governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu stepped in, directing all concerned to shift their sword with a view to finding lasting solution to the lingering crisis. While many of the houses are marked for possession, residents of the estate have refused to accept directives and counter-directives on the legality of their stay on the property. Meanwhile, efforts to speak with residents on the development proved abortive as they kept mum, probably due to the uncertainty surrounding their predicament. As it stands, all fingers are crossed and hopes are high on what will be the outcome of the roundtable meeting convened by the state government to resolve the crisis. In Lagos, Abolade Salami, NTA News.
Time now for some messages, and when we return, Nationwide continues with Frama in our Jos Network Center. Please stay.
That in the last decade, this country has been at different wars trying to keep the peace and promote the sovereignty and the integrity of the country. The troops are doing their best. The president has given them all the necessary tools. It is left for us as young people and as Nigerians to give them all the support we can. We say kudos to all our gallant military men. Please, whenever you see a police officer in or out of uniform, if you know them, clap for them whenever they need be. Give them seats in buses and trains and airplanes. Have the airline managers reduce air tickets for them or train tickets for them. Show them that we appreciate what they do and show their families that there is something right and honorable and truly remarkable about wearing a uniform and going into the bushes and the forest to fight enemies of this country that are hell-bent in bringing your life to an end. It's a very tough time, but we have to all put our hands together. Please support our troops and support our police officers.
Candidates who are interested in gaining admission into NTA TV College, Jos, for the 2021-2022 two-year National Innovation Diploma Program are to apply for admission through the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, JAMB. Courses available for application include film and television production, broadcast journalism, and television engineering technology. Such candidates must have a minimum of 5 O-level credits in relevant subjects, including English language and mathematics. For inquiries, please call 0803-079-5335 or 0806-980-9807. Management Announcer.
From the heart of the Federal Capital Territory
to the ancient city of Kano,
from the sprawling rooftops of Ibadan
to the bustling markets of Aba and the creeks of the Niger Delta, you really can't beat the reach.
Over the years, we have kept going, keeping you informed, educated, and entertained.
And how have we survived in the very challenging year?
Because of our pillars of support, namely the 3 tiers of government, ministries, departments, and agencies,
corporate bodies and advertisers,
religious bodies,
civil society groups,
political parties, and most importantly, you, our esteemed viewers. Together, we made 2021 great.
And together, we shall make 2022 greater.
Thank you from all of us here at NTA. Your season's greetings and a prosperous new year.
Femi Martins, just look at this. Remember the name.
The African Cup of Nations starts on the 9th of January 2022 on NTA, powered by AfroSport. For sponsorship and advertisements, contact us on 090-9890-6913 or 090-3513-2838.
Is nationwide. We're glad to have you join us in Jos. Plateau government is strengthening its fight against criminals, especially kidnappers, as a result of their threat to peace and security of citizens. Governor Simon Lalong was speaking during his visit to the Catholic Bishop of Shandam Diocese, Most Reverend Philip Dung. Frisla Grumnan reports.
Governor Simon Lalong says after witnessing the end of the year and entering a new year, he has come to seek the bishop's prayers and blessings for the greater peace and prosperity of Plateau State and Nigeria at large. He uses the opportunity to ask those involved in criminal activities to desist forthwith, as government has strengthened its fight, especially against kidnappers, which he says has become a greater threat to peace and security of citizens.
Our prayer as we get into the new year, many of the things that we saw as vices, we pray that God will keep them off so that we move ahead in this country.
Bishop Philip Dung appreciates God for his mercies on the people of Plateau State and enjoins the governor to continue to offer meaningful leadership to the people of the state in spite of the challenges being faced.
And whatever we do, the most important thing that the dignity of the human person are able to put in place those facilities that will really bring out the dignity to show our own concern for one another.
The governor equally paid the traditional homage on the long Gmai of Gmai land at his palace in Shandam, where he solicits the support of the traditional institution in government's fight against all kinds of crimes in the state. From Shandam, Priscilla Grumnan, NTA News.
National Orientation Agency says, in justification of its mandate of inculcating value reorientation in Nigerians, it carried out several programs that impacted on the lives of the people in Plateau State. The acting state director of the agency, Kaneng Pamhoro, stated this in Jos while reviewing the agency's activities in 2021. Zenre Dingmun reports.
The NOA director in Plateau State says, though the year 2021 was quite challenging, the agency was instrumental in ensuring government policies and programs were communicated to the public with positive feedback. She adds that the agency has liaised with other agencies and organizations to promote programs on national integration and patriotism.
We were able to do more than 50% of what has been set on ground as target for us to do. During the year, we were able to sensitize the general public on various government policies, and of note is the program policy on the regulation in the downstream sector, that's the petroleum industry.
The director expressed optimism that the agency will sustain its existing programs and campaigns and also sponsor new ones towards the peace and unity of the state and the nation.
I think we should be able to go to do better. This work I've enumerated here, I think we will achieve more if we have the support. Yes, even from the state and local government.
Some of the programs carried out by the agency include COVID-19 awareness, campaigns against drug abuse, gender-based violence and open defecation, orientation lecture at NYSC camps across the country, and much more. In Jos, Zenre Dingmun, NTA News.
And that's our contribution from Jos. Nationwide continues with Lydia in Abuja.
Many thanks, Frama. President Muhammadu Buhari has appointed board and management of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited in accordance with the power vested in him under Section 59, subsection 2 of the Petroleum Industry Act 2021. Senator Margaret Chuba-Okadigbo from Southeast is the chairman of the board, while Mele Kolo Kyari will serve as chief executive officer, and Umar Ajia is the chief financial officer. Other board members are Dr. Tajuddin Umar, representing Northeast, Lami Ahmed from North Central, Mohammed Lawal Northwest, Henry Obi from Southeast, while Constance Harry Marshall is representing South-South, and Pius Akinyelure is from Southwest. A statement by the Special Advisor to the President on Media and Publicity, Femi Adesina, states that the appointments take effect from the date of the incorporation of the NNPC Limited. Also appointed are Executive Commissioners of the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission. They are Dr. Nuhu Habib Kano, Executive Commissioner, Development and Production, Dr. Kelechi Onyekachi Ofegbu Imo, Executive Commissioner, Economic Regulations and Strategic Planning, Tonlaga Roland John, Delta, Executive Commissioner, Health, Safety, Environment and Community, and Jide Adiola Kogi, Executive Commissioner, Corporate Services and Administration. New appointees at the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority are Francis Alabo Ogari Rivers, Executive Director, Hydrocarbon Processing, Mustafa Lamurde Adamawa, Executive Director, Health, Safety, Environment and Community, Mansour Kulia Kano, Executive Director, Midstream and Downstream Gas Infrastructure Fund, Bashir Sadiq Sakoto, Executive Director, Corporate Services and Administration, and Dr. Zainab Gobir Kwara, Executive Director, Economic Regulations and Strategic Planning. For Midstream and Downstream Infrastructure Fund, new council members are Efyong Abia Akwa Ibom, Boboy Ahmed Adamawa, and Abdullahi Bukar Katsina. The Cross River State government is to complete all infrastructural projects ongoing in the state, especially roads under construction, spread across the 18 local government areas. Paul Abel reports that the Commissioner of Works and Infrastructure gave this assurance while responding to questions on projections for 2022 and the reflection of government infrastructural projects in 2021.
One area the Cross River State government invested massively in 2021 is the construction of roads across the 18 local government areas of the state. While some are already completed and being in use, others are at different stages of completion.
Several road projects are undergoing rehabilitation. I can name the companies and who have been given to. In municipality, I can tell you the same. Odukwane is Usungesuk. Road completed 2.5 kilometers. You go to Akankpa, you have the Kam2, Mbobui Road, completed. You go to Biase, you get Biase, Akpe Central, Ubem Road, completed. It's also go to Etono and then cross over to Ebonyi State.
With 2022 the only full year of budgetary allocations for the Governor Ben Ayade administration to sustain the development, what are the projections for the year?
A year of projects completion. I see it as that. So most of our projects will be completed and presented for public use. Most of our road projects, most of our industries, most of our public infrastructure will be completed, hopefully, in this year 2022.
The people are of the view that matching words with action is what will confirm government promise for the year 2022. In Calabar, Paul Abel, NTA News.
Let's now go over to Enugu and Chinenye Nwonye standing by with more reports. Chinenye, good to see you.
It's good to see you too, Lydia. Welcome to Enugu. Rescuing Nigeria from the myriad of challenges threatening the corporate existence of the nation is a task before her citizens. Speaking when he paid a fraternal visit to the governor of Enugu State, Ifeanyi Ugwuanyi, the Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike called on the people of Enugu State to join the rest of Nigerians in the quest for a better and greater nation. Susan Eze has the report.
For a more fraternal ambience and in the spirit of the season, The Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike expressed the desire to meet with his Enugu counterpart in his Ohomo backcountry home in Udenu local government area of Enugu State, and there they met, stating that he loves to identify with good leadership, which he has seen in Enugu State. Governor Wike enjoined the people of the state, especially religious and traditional rulers, to support the governor to achieve more in the state.
One of the reasons why I came here today is to thank him for being a big brother and a good brother. Brotherhood is not that you must be the same mother and the same father. You can be from different states, but you can meet and say, look, what this man does is what I like. You can relate and say, look, we must be brothers and we must be friends.
On the state of the nation, Governor Wike called on the people of the state and the nation to join hands to right all wrongs in the interest of national unity. The visit was well appreciated by the host governor, Ifeanyi Ugwuanyi.
These fraternal visits signpost the deepening of the fellowship between the government and good people of the treasure base of the nation and the core city-state.
Enugu, Susan Eze, NTA News.
Experts have identified environmental cleanliness as a sure way to keeping reptiles away from home. Comfort IM takes a look at ways to safeguard homes from reptiles during the dry season.
Naturally, during the dry season, reptiles are vertebrates that used to be in the bush shift base to cold environment and houses for succor as the bush becomes too hot for the cold-blooded animal. Abandoned, uncompleted buildings, parked vehicles, trees, and soccerways, experts explained, are their major hideouts.
It is all about a collective safeguarding the environment. Like you see, recklessly people are carrying out bush burning all over the places, and this will, force some of these wild animals, including the reptiles, closer to the home. So indiscriminate bush burning should be discouraged from all the communities and all the environment. People should just be careful, keep their doors closed, carry out some level of fumigation within the houses to ensure that dangerous reptiles like this are not within.
And such environment is this major building you are seeing here. And the major building here is a focus and the nidus for the settlement of snakes. And at night, they tend to go out to feed and then tracking towards where there is dustbins and all the rest of them, sometimes closer to the ward. And that is a very big danger.
It was also gathered that Enugu State's Udi, Ogu axis, and Nsukka are said to be one of the snake belts of Africa, just like Katungu and other parts of the north. In Enugu, Comfort Ayim, NT News.
And those are the stories from Enugu. Nationwide continues with Mohammed in Maiduguri after this break. Do stay.
The Nigerian aviation sector is rapidly growing with the construction of new international airport terminals in several regions of the country. The new Murtala Mohammed International Airport has an estimated passenger increase of 30 million annually and 15 million for Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja. Malam Aminu Kano International Airport is also expected to open new frontiers for the region with more travel capacity for the annual Hajj, while the new Akanu Ibiam International Airport, Enugu, avails more business opportunities connecting the industrial cities in the region to the world. These new terminals beat world-class standards with enabling infrastructure that aid air travel, tourism, and the eventual growth of the country's GDP.
Open up commerce and, of course, link us to international societies.
People from international community will come here to do business, and then that will bring in more revenue to the state.
Now, distances can be seamlessly covered as Nigeria keeps raising its bar to suit global infrastructure standards.
Remy Martins, just look at this. Remember the name.
The African Cup of Nations starts on the 9th of January 2022 on NTA, powered by AfroSport. For sponsorship and advertisements, contact us on 090-9890-6913 or 090-3513-2838.
It has been almost 7 years since President Muhammadu Buhari assumed the leadership of Africa's largest economy. How has it been for the man in the saddle? What are the challenges and where is the destination? Join us on NTA Network Service as Cyril Stoba sits down in an exclusive interview with President Muhammadu Buhari.
I will leave a more secure Nigeria than what it is now.
Don't miss this unique encounter that promises to be exciting and revealing.
Welcome back. Nationwide continues from Maiduguri. Borno State Governor Professor Babagana Umar Zulum has appealed to traditional and religious leaders to take the lead in mobilizing their subjects, especially youths, to preserve their norms and values. The governor stated this on the occasion of Bura Cultural Day, organized by Marama Community Development Association in How Local Government. Yamusu Bukar reports.
Represented by his deputy Umar Usman Kadafur, the governor said, the 2022 Bura Cultural Day with the theme Echoes of a Dying Culture, the Bura experience is apt and at the right time. The governor said the present administration will continue to pursue the full implementation of the 10-pact agenda and transformation plan to bring governance and development to all parts of the state. The caretaker chairman, Marama Cultural Development Association, Samuel Bola, said the festival has over the years provided forum for interactions, celebrations and showcasing of rich cultural heritage of Bura people to the world and appealed to the state government to consider rehabilitation of Yimirshika Maramaki Dang Road, revitalization of School of Agriculture, fencing of Marama Central Primary School and General Hospital, as well as replacement of electrical transformer, among others. The Emir of Biu, Moy Mustafa Umar Mustafa, commended the organizers for maintaining and reviving their culture and tradition. Borno State Head of Service Barrister Samuel Mulgui in a paper presented said, the Bura culture is fast disappearing and heading towards extinction, noticeably in areas of language, tradition, music, and food, and therefore stressed that all hands must be on deck to reverse the trend. Former Deputy Governor of Borno, Ali Abubakar Jato, and former Federal High Court Judge, Justice Ibrahim Autandehi, all thanked those who attended the occasion and commended the state government for all its developmental efforts in the state and the area in general. Traditional dances featured during the ceremony with the emirs of Biu, Shani, Shelang, and representatives of the Emir of Guyuk, some House of Assembly members and special advisors in attendance, among others. In Maiduguri, Yagum Subukar, NTA News.
In other news, recruitment exercise of 82 regular recruit intake of the Nigerian Army has commenced successfully in Maiduguri under the supervision of Borno State Guidance and Counseling Board members at Memarari Cantonment, Maiduguri. Again, Yagum Subukar reports.
The recruitment of Borno State sons and daughters into different fields of the Nigerian Armed Forces by the Borno State Guidance and Counseling Board is to catch the youth at their young age and also encourage them serve their fatherland. This 82 regular recruit intake of 2021 is another batch of recruitment exercise of youths into the Nigerian Army. Given an overview of the recruitment exercise, Chairman Borno State Guidance and Counseling Board, Abba Lawan, said the exercise is to recruit more youths as done before, saying Borno State government has special interest in Borno youths, hence this development, which is expected to encourage, support and motivate them to protect the state and the country in general.
Borno State government, under the leadership of His Excellency Professor Babagana Umar Zulum, is very, very passionate about candidates of Borno State get recruited on the platform of Borno State. A total of 1,500 candidates have been shortlisted for this exercise, and then eventually the qualified candidates will be recruited.
We want them to be good ambassadors, exhibit good character, and we want to make sure that the bad ones and the bad eggs are sorted out, and certainly we don't want the name of the state to be bastardized.
Members of the Borno State Guidance and Counseling Board will continue to supervise recruitment exercise up to the end. In Maiduguri, Yagum Subukar, NTA News.
That is it from this end. Is back to Lydia in the nation's capital.
Thank you, Mohammed. Meanwhile, police training institutes must instill in the new recruits the core values of professionalism, relate friendly with the civilian population, and shun corrupt practices. Inspector General of Police Usman Alkali Baba gave the directive in a meeting with commandants of police training institutes in Abuja. Francis Form reports.
Based on the directive of Mr. President, our recruitment reflected successful candidates from all the 774 local governments of the Federation.
Commandants of Police Training Institute meeting with the Inspector General of Police for the first time in the year 2022. And building its human assets at the foundation level is fundamental for a responsible force, and this formed the agenda of this meeting. The commandants of the Police Institute across the Federation are receiving briefs on the expectations of the force towards a successful training of the new recruits.
Our plan is to in place a new training regime that must impact the virtues of professionalism, knowledge, discipline, confidence, and critical decision-making potentials in the recruits. As custodians and guardians of recruits, you are to provide mentorship by displaying high level of ethical standards.
IGP Alkali Baba is not mincing words in reeling out disciplinary measures that will be taken on any erring directing staff that engages in corrupt practices.
There must be no form of extortion of the recruits by the directing staff, drill instructor, or any other staff of the police colleges. Note that the post management team has our ears on the ground, and any form of infraction on this directive will be visited with severe sanction and appropriate disciplinary action.
Now that the presidential directive on the recruitment of 10,000 police constables for 2021 has been complied with, next is the training of these successful ones, and the training is expected to commence in 4 premier police colleges and 12 police training institutes across the country on the 10th of January 2022. Francis from NTA News.
Let's join Clement Oloruntoba for sports update.
President Muhammadu Buhari has charged the Super Eagles going to Cameroon to be good ambassador and worthy representatives of the country as the 2021 Africa Cup of Nations tournament begins in a few days. This was at the Central dinner organized for the Super Eagles as they set to depart the country for Cameroon tonight. Minister of State for Finance, Budget and National Planning, Clem Agba, who represented the president, reminded the squad that Nigerians are fully behind them.
You have to believe in yourselves, be confident in your abilities, and show trust in your coaches and officials.
We are going to take it game by game, and we'll try to work out and make sure we do the country proud.
Meanwhile, after 5 weeks of intense play, the Suleja Emirates Cup has finally come to a close in Suleja, Niger State, as Young Planners FC left the field in top spirit after they claimed the trophy. Bola Park of Mandela came second, while Shining Stars walk home as third runners-up. Emir of Suleja, Malam Muhammad Awal Ibrahim, who presented the trophy, used the avenue to call for regular support for grassroots football.
We'll be able to support the organizers of this kind of competition to ensure they are able to keep the youth engaged.
This is just the beginning. We believe next year it will be far better than what we do this year.
And finally, world number 1 Novak Djokovic will defend his Australian Open title later this month after receiving a medical exemption from having a COVID-19 vaccination. The 34-year-old Djokovic has not spoken publicly about his vaccination status, which prompted the competition's chief, Greg Tilly, saying no special favor has been granted to the 9-time champion. With sport updates, Clement Olorutoba, NTA News.
It has been almost 7 years since President Muhammad Buhari assumed the leadership of Africa's largest economy. How has it been for the man in the saddle? What are the challenges and where is the destination? Join us on NTA Network Service as Cyril Stoba sits down in an exclusive interview with President Muhammad Buhari.
I will leave a more secure Nigeria than what it is now.
Don't miss this unique encounter that promises to be exciting and revealing.
And that wraps up Nationwide on the network service of the NTA. Before we go, let's remind you that you should not forget to join NTA in its fight against rape and rapists. Happy New Year. I'm Lydia Ochi. Goodbye.